What's up, guys? Welcome to the first episode of the Bounty Hunters podcast. I'm Joe Anderson, and I'm here with Drake Woodard. And today we're going to be talking about a variety of topics, and really one main thing, and that's we're ranking all the Star Wars movies, including the two anthology films we have. And we're going to talk about the pros and cons of each one and just kind of what we like about them. But before we get there, we're going to talk about our favorite things about Star Wars, our kind of our first time experiencing Star Wars, and just kind of what makes Star Wars, what makes it the franchise it has become today. And I know it's kind of strange because when we talk about the first time that we're watching Star Wars, it's a little strange because we weren't around for the original trilogy and really for the prequels. We weren't able to see that in theaters, and so it is a little strange for us to talk about it like we're a bunch of old timers.
I don't think my mom wanted to take me when I was not even a year old to go see Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, and I didn't even get really... I mean, I've always liked Star Wars. I've always kind of, been a bit of a Star Wars fan, but I've never, cared as much as I obviously do now.
Yeah, like I specifically remember it being last year, right before summer got out, right as school got out, and I was like, I have a whole summer to myself. I'm going to watch one Star Wars movie every single day, and I'm just going to, slowly get into it. I watched A New Hope. I loved it. I watched Empire. I loved it. I watched Return of the Jedi. I loved it. And it was my first time. And then I remember figuring out one time I was on the way to the orthodontist, and I figured out, wait, there's more movies than just the first 6.
Well,
and I was like,
more.
I thought Rogue One was episode 7. And I was really confused.
That's
before I finally figured it out, and I was like, wait a second, there's another movie coming out in December? Wow, I cannot wait for this. And ever since then, I just got obsessed with it, and
see, for me,
now we're here.
I never thought, back when I was a little kid, I wasn't like, in a few years from now, I'm going to be having a podcast on this topic, and I never thought of that. I had, Star Wars toys and stuff, and I, knew it was, a Star Wars. I knew it was a war in space, of Star Wars. I didn't really, comprehend, the story or anything. I was young, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if you have stormtroopers versus clone troopers. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Kind of like how it was when I was little. I would just play with my little toys. I'd play a football game, and I'd put Arkansas against the Tennessee Titans or something like that.
Oh yeah, it's just like that. It doesn't make sense, but it does. And I really the funny thing is I got interested watching the sequels. That sounds completely off the wall. But yes, that's what happened. I'd seen the original trilogy. I've obviously had probably seen the prequels, but I didn't know the order. I didn't know, the story. But I'd seen them, and,
That's the thing, I'd literally, before I got into it, the only scene that I had seen was Luke getting his hand cut off. That's the only scene that I had ever seen of Star Wars in my life, and I only saw it because I walked in while my dad was watching it. That's it. That's it.
See, for me, I actually went to see The Force Awakens in theaters because I kind of knew Star Wars, and it was a good movie. Force Awakens, I heard it was a good movie. It looked good, and man, it was good. So it didn't disappoint. And I watched it, and I was like, man, this is pretty good. Star Wars is cool. I like Star Wars. So I'd always played PS2 Battlefront. I had played that game ever since I was 4, probably. I don't know. Ever since I was really young, I played that, and so that's where most of my Star Wars came from, was Battlefront. And is it? I don't even know it's canon. It's not canon. It's not even canon. That stuff. But it didn't have to be. It didn't really have a story. But another thing was after The Force Awakens, I kind of went into this relapse where for the next year I didn't really care.
Relapse.
I didn't care about Star Wars. It was like this top of the roller coaster. I didn't even care anymore. Watched Rogue One. Honestly, didn't pay attention. Sorry, I was confused. I thought I was like Drake. I thought that it came after The Force Awakens, and I'm like, what happened to all the new characters I just saw? This is dumb. I don't understand. So I watched Rogue One, but I didn't understand any of it. And then I went to theaters again to see The Last Jedi, which it didn't disappoint me initially. I really liked it, but this was before I knew so much about the Star Wars universe, and I didn't like put it into the Star Wars universe because I
Didn't
mean
put it in context with the other.
no, I
movies.
mean it's a great movie alone, and it's still a decent movie, but it's
But it could have been a better Star Wars.
yes, it
movie.
definitely could have been better, but at the time I didn't know that, and it was a good movie in theaters. Like to watch that was pretty good, and I don't regret it. I mean, I don't think anyone regrets it. Well, there's some,
I specifically remember me and my dad went the day after it came out, and we walked out. It was midnight, and we were walking to our car, and I was like, "That is the best Star Wars movie I've ever seen." Because I was just kind of like in that shock of the first time
it's
I've ever
such-
seen it in theaters.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
it's a shock. I mean, and yeah, that was only the second movie I'd obviously been able to. I mean, I could have seen Rogue One in theaters, but I obviously didn't. I think I watched it in on Redbox. Actually, I watched it on Redbox, not an illegal Roblox. Yeah, that's where I watched it. And but then after that, like after The Last Jedi, that is when I really became interested. Like I saw that, and I was like, I mean, obviously I was old. I was older than I was for The Force Awakens, only by a few years, obviously, but it didn't matter. I actually became interested, and I remember it was actually the Christmas break holidays, so I didn't have school, so I was sat down and I watched every single Star Wars movie in episodical order. I didn't know. I looked it up, and I watched them. Phantom Menace, Attack, all the way through. And I think I didn't watch The Force Awakens again. Maybe I did. I don't remember, but I knew it was at least the original trilogy and sequels. Prequels, my bad. And it was great. And then I also, like, after I watched the movies, I read I read the synopsis, I looked into, I did trivia, I did all kinds of stuff. Because that's when it really took off for me. And it was awesome. And that's when I started putting stuff together. I started actually caring, and watching more YouTube and getting into it. And so that's kind of where we came from, but like what makes Star Wars, and what's your favorite things about it? That's the next question we have.
But like I'm still gonna go along with my first time watching Star Wars was there. I just kind of funny was when I was little, I used to be obsessed with Legos, and I got this one. I was at Target one time, and I begged my mom for this Lego thing because it was a battle pack. I now know, but it was because the characters looked so good, the minifigures. And I found out
it's the jam.
They're Mandalorian, and I had no idea. And I was just playing with them. And I had no idea what Star Wars was, and now it's like, wow, I know everything about that. It's great.
Yeah, for me, I think the things that set Star Wars apart from that Star Trek, and not just Star Trek, but any other movie franchise. And I know I'm gonna get killed for saying this. I love Marvel. And
I love Marvel as well.
And I think Marvel is I think Marvel's like a better franchise in terms of success and in terms of depth. But I like Star Wars better than Marvel.
Their fans are a lot better.
They're less divided. I would say I think Marvel is it's better in its own ways, but I have like a passion for Star Wars more. Obviously, you don't see me doing like a Marvel podcast. I mean, duh. And the reason I like Star Wars the most of all, is it's just so revolutionary when you think about it. Because think about in the 1970s and 80s when this was first put out.
1973 was when George Lucas started writing this.
Just think about how absurd it seemed, and then how it took off and got to where it is today. So just like unheard of. Crazy,
so creative.
Yeah, so crazy and so creative.
And that's what's so like great about George Lucas is there was a interview with Natalie Portman, who plays Padme in the prequels, and she said it's kind of hard acting because you're trying to act in George's mind because it's George Lucas's vision.
They're all his puppets, sort of.
Yeah, pretty much. He writes it down. And they have to execute his vision, which is kind of hard.
That's not how that works anymore, unfortunately.
Unfortunately,
I don't think that's how it works anymore. But I mean, thank goodness he made the prequels, right?
All right, don't crap on the prequels.
I'm not. Oh, I'm not right. I'm not crapping on the prequels. Trust me. I mean, I love the prequels. Revenge of the Sith is one of my favorites.
Revenge of the Sith is very good.
Phantom Menace, not as much.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
We'll get that later. But I do think it's like Harry Potter in a way.
Harry Potter.
Let me explain this. How revolutionary it is, and how crazy it is, and then that's one of the reasons that took off. It's just, well, I think Star Wars is way better than Harry Potter. Harry Potter's great, but Star Wars, it takes the cake on that one.
Never read Harry Potter books.
I've read them all, and they're amazing. I mean, obviously it's a book mainly. It's a book franchise based rather than movie. And I think one of the reasons Star Wars is great is it's awe inspiring. Like it just creates this. Just when the first time you see it, it's just shocking at how good it is, and shocking of like how this started from scratch. I mean, it just puts you in this just it's just I don't know. It's honestly can't be described in words,
Yeah.
but it's just it's
Like
wow,
when I was watching
the
New
wow
Hope
factor.
for the first time, I remember there's a scene where Luke gets tackled by the Tusken Raider, or not get tackled, but he gets scared and falls backwards. And I remember thinking, this looks so good. The practical effects on this is like really good for this movie, and that's maybe why I love the sequel so much, because of the practical effects. But like, it's just like what George Lucas did
At the time that it was
at the
made.
time is crazy. He had blasters going everywhere. Ben Burtt was the sound designer for the original A New Hope. Oh my goodness. What he did to get some of those sounds is crazy.
And the thing is to think like without the original trilogy, it's not none of this exists. So to think of like that is what started it all is crazy,
Mhm.
and it's so different from Star Trek, and at the time, way better.
Yeah.
And that's what's really shocked people is because they never heard of this before. And I know I talk about this like I was there, but it's just it's straight facts. I mean, you can't take that kind of content with the technology. Like you can't that kind of content being produced in that time. You can't take that for granted. That is some work. That's work of art. And the budget. I don't even like. I'm not even gonna go there. That's
Oof. George Lucas though went
Operating on a
went over
shoestring.
budget like 5 times on A New Hope.
it worked out now.
That's true though.
And then I think now we can get into the movies, ranking them.
So we can get
And I'll let you go first on. First of all, what we're going to do is we're just going to rank the movies 1 through 10. Say which ones.
Worst to best.
Yes, we're going to start at 10 to 1 actually, and we're going to name them. Just name them, and then after that, we're going to go individually break them down, starting at 10, alternating all the way down to 1. So you can go ahead.
I'll go first. Okay. At number 10, I have Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. At number 9, I have Attack of the Clones. At 8, I have Solo. At 7, I have Return of the Jedi. At 6, I have The Last Jedi. At 5, I have Revenge of the Sith. 4 is Rogue One. 3, I have A New Hope. 2 is The Force Awakens. And 1 is The Empire Strikes Back.
So.
Very controversial on that last one.
Some of these are controversial, but I mean, our lists are somewhat similar, but they're very different at the same time, which is what I like. I mean, I think our tops are, and our bottoms are definitely similar. So for me, number 10 is The Phantom Menace. Now, let me just clarify. 10 doesn't mean it's awful. I mean, I still love The Phantom Menace.
You're just going to get other Star Wars movies. And it's
Yeah.
not fair. It's not fair.
It's a good movie, but it's definitely got its flaws. Number 9 is going to be Attack of the Clones, Episode 2. 8 is Solo, A Star Wars Story. 7 is Episode 8, The Last Jedi. And let me say, The Last Jedi was really good, and it's 7. So, and it definitely has room to come up. I'll elaborate on that later. Episode 6 is Return of the Jedi, and that's going to be number 6. Number 5 is Rogue One. Number 4 is Episode 7, The Force Awakens. And number 3, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. I don't know why the numbers line up with the episode, but that's just how it's working. So Revenge of the Sith, number 3, but it's hard to put it there. Number 2 is A New Hope, obviously, and number 1 is The Empire Strikes Back. So obviously those top 2 are gonna be those two. So I'll let you go ahead and start with your number 10 and your explanation behind it.
Well, I put The Phantom Menace number 10. You know,
I think a lot of us did.
That's a surprise. Like, what The Phantom Menace is, it's okay. Think of the opening of A New Hope. It's a giant Star Destroyer. The opening of Return of the Jedi, you've got Jabba's Palace. The opening of Empire Strikes Back, you have the Battle of Hoth. The opening of The Phantom Menace, politics. Like,
it's definitely like
and a blockade. Like,
it's definitely coming into the it's awful because it is the opening to the prequels. That's the
Yeah.
problem. It's the opening to the prequels, and I figured they'd start off with something bold, and they didn't. They started out with something very anticlimactic.
yeah. It's like you go and you're like, because I wasn't there, obviously, but just think of waiting 16 years for a movie to come out and going in there, and it's like, can't wait for the start of this movie. You see Star Wars, you see The Crawl, and it's like, politics.
And I think what is the fact that it was I don't know what I like my voice just died just then, but I don't even think it's the fact that it's politics. It's just how like trade federation. Like if it would have been like I don't even know. It wasn't the idea was there, but it didn't come out. Like it's not even Star Wars. It's trade dispute wars, and there's way too much. Not only is there too much political banter, but I'll just let you finish. CGI. That's something we could start with.
Okay, CGI. Like when you've said this before, when it's just CGI characters, not looking bad. As soon as you add a practical effect in there, looks absolutely garbage. Except for the Battle of Naboo. That's an exception where it's all CGI and it looks horrible. I
feel like I thought the CGI was not that good, and I could live with it. But then the Battle of the Battle of Naboo, oh my, the Battle of Naboo appeared on screen, and then I lost it. I was like, "What?" It looks like the grass.
Yes,
the grass.
It just looks like somebody took the paint bucket tool and Photoshop.
I feel like I could have made that in like I feel like it looks like a stop motion, like a Lego stop motion almost. I mean, come on. It was just the droids. I don't know what happened. I mean, the difference between the droids in Attack of the Clones and the Phantom Menace.
Yeah,
I feel like different.
They learned a lot from the Phantom Menace.
Oh, they did. They definitely did, and that's good. But it's also I can live with it. I mean, I don't mind.
Let's get to the good parts of the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I mean,
I think we can agree that
we did forget something. We did forget something.
What did we forget?
Jake Lloyd, and he's a little kid, but I
have Jar Jar and Anakin are so bad. Like Anakin's acting is not good.
Jake, I don't want to get mad. I'm not mad at Jake Lloyd because he's a little kid. I mean, he can't like help it, but it was not a.
He was 7 when he got casted.
It wasn't. There's so many. Like I've seen other child actors, obviously. And they're decent. And Jake Lloyd just didn't fill in that category for me.
Yeah.
It's too bland. It was just too, hi, I'm Annie and I'm a person.
So, like,
I mean, that was...
Force. Like, there's one scene, this is very nitpicky, but when Anakin is trying to get out of the cockpit of the Naboo starfighter and Qui-Gon says, wait there, he goes, but I... And instead of sounding like he's trying to get something in, he just says, but I, and there's a gap, and then
he just followed the script too much.
Yes.
It just wasn't good acting, and it wasn't good coordination, I don't think. It didn't work out.
Well, you can't blame him, though, because he was...
No, you can't blame him.
7, 8,
You can blame
9.
him about his decisions now in life. You can't blame him back then, though.
Yeah, let's not go into that.
Jar Jar Binks...
Yeah.
Honestly, though, I mean, like, low-key, he's not that bad as people make him out to be. He's annoying, he is. And he did get worse in the Clone Wars, obviously.
He did.
But that's a kid's show, so it's kind of okay to make him a laughing stock.
That's kind of what he was.
Yeah, it's okay to make him like the clown, and he's supposed to be.
I find it so funny that in the Phantom Menace making of documentary, George Lucas is quoted as saying, Jar Jar is the key to all this. If we can get Jar Jar right, the whole movie is right.
I feel like people like forget that Jar Jar is supposed to be a really annoying character. He's supposed to be that. They might have overdid it, but yes, that's what he's supposed to be.
There's literally, like, fart humor. One of the animals in the pod race, poops, and then
I do remember that.
It's not.
I mean, it was just not executed the way it should have been, but that's okay because we do have Darth Maul versus Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, and that is legendary. That's one of the better lightsaber battles.
That second blade coming out of the back of his.
And not only was that cool, but Qui-Gon's death. It was respectable, and I think it was done well. And then Obi-Wan fighting Maul, that was done even better. Yes. I mean, it was just a good scene. The score, Qui-Gon's noble end. The score was awesome.
We're talking the score. We're going Duel of Fates. If we're talking about a good score, Duel of Fates.
Qui-Gon's noble end and Duel of the Fates are two of the best songs, and and they're both in the same scene. It was done well, and I like Theed. Theed is a really cool city, and I do have respect for the setting. Now they did execute the setting pretty well. So is Gungan City. Gungan City is also, I really like that as well. I feel like visually they did a lot of good stuff. Otoh Gunga, yeah. They did very good on the settings, and they weren't lacking there. And I think the Padme's decoy was, I mean, it was obviously kind of, it wasn't really predictable, but it was good.
But the movie is meant to be, I can't wait to see what happens next. But you're really feeling like, this is, like, there's no tension in it. Like,
there's not a lot of tension, no. I do think they needed more things, like...
You're not at the edge of your seat.
Padme having a decoy added some tension, but not enough. I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like they should had more emphasis, like at the end of Padme and her guards versus
Like, pod race, how
Anakin's gonna win.
he's gonna win.
Yeah,
You
I
know
mean,
he's
I feel
gonna
like there was
win.
it was pretty cool. I mean, to see the setting and all the different species.
The pod race is very revolutionary and it is very great.
It is, but I feel like there's almost too much time spent there.
Yeah.
Ewan McGregor and Liam Neeson do make a
Yes,
pretty good.
very,
They make a good.
very
They're a good
good.
duo, and I appreciate
Ray
that.
Park is great as Darth Maul.
And I have one problem, and that's how a tiny kid destroys the Trade Federation.
oh my goodness.
Like, I think the idea was there for him to help out in the battle because he's a decent pilot, but I didn't mean him, like, go in the hangar, fire a few pot shots, and completely destroy the Trade Federation ship. That's just, I don't know.
Saved by little Annie.
I think
Like-
that was kind of I think that made this movie. I don't know if this was their intent. Probably not. But the movie did come off as
Like,
cheesy.
We
did
know
cheesy. Cheesy is a good
Anakin
way to
is
describe
gonna be. We know Darth Vader is Anakin, so we're coming into the prequels knowing, okay, Anakin is most likely gonna be the main character. You don't have to have him as a little kid,
Saving the galaxy.
saving the galaxy, or
Well,
saving
Naboo.
Naboo.
Cheesy is a good word to describe it, and I also think it more the movie being kind of a plot filler or just kind of a filler,
Yeah.
which I mean is respectable in a way
And,
because it did lead
like-
up to two other. Well, maybe one other good movie. Because Attack of the Clones is good. It is good. They're all good. I would say every Star Wars movie is good, but there's just some that are significantly better than the others. That is for sure. And I think that pretty much wraps up.
Well,
Phantom Menace.
Also, one thing I have to say is people, and I kind of like what people say when they say this kind of feels more like an anthology movie. Like, people have said that they would rather have it the prequels go straight into Anakin's a Jedi, here he is fighting, and instead of episode 1 being episode 1, they want episode 2 to be episode 1, and they want to have episode 2 to be during the
Qui-Gon.
Clone Wars.
I want Qui-Gon.
Yeah,
I need Maul.
Qui-Gon,
Episode
Maul.
1 was necessary the way it was done. There was just some minor and slight major things that.
They weren't minor.
Well, there were some major things that didn't really involve Anakin and Qui-Gon, and the problems didn't really involve the main characters. It involved more of the CGI, and it wasn't exactly the character development. It was more of other things. But anyway, we'll move on.
Number 9.
You may honestly, some of y'all might have skipped through the Phantom Menace. Like a 10-minute breakdown of the Phantom Menace. You may want to skip through that. It's rough.
Understandable.
It gets better though. The movies obviously have to get better. So episode 9 for you.
Episode 9. So we're just gonna start with the bads or the goods.
We'll start with whatever comes first. Whatever we feel like it.
Well, with the Attack of the Clones, like when at the very beginning, Anakin is kind of like disagreeing with Obi-Wan. That feels forced. Like he's kind of like, "No, Master. It is implied in our mandate that we find who it is," and it's like, but you don't feel like that's real.
I feel like. I mean, I didn't really take as much offense to that.
Yeah.
I do have one problem, and that is when Anakin first meets Padme. Not only does he get friend
Oh
zoned
my
like
goodness.
4 times, but it was just like the worst acting.
Great.
And he has like this glazed over like drug addict looked at her, and it was very bad. I mean, it was just
Pedophile look.
yeah. It was. I think I don't know if they wanted him to seem that way, but they did a really good job of it. If they did, I mean, it was bad. Yeah, it was definitely like kind of just kind of rough the way they did that opening scene, and not just that scene, but the entire Attack of the Clones. Every scene that involves Anakin and Padme at the beach. I don't like sand. It's coursing. It was just like,
And like it's so
No.
unconvincing their romance is because
Oh my gosh.
when Anakin literally creeps her out to the point where she says, oh, crap, I'm literally drawing a blank right now.
yeah, she said she was
said-
pretty defiant in the beginning.
I don't know why I can't remember.
Anyway, it was all in all,
I'll
it was
remember
cringy.
it.
And so I think the chase on Coruscant through Coruscant was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was okay. I mean, it was a little weird. Sometimes Anakin's defiance to Obi-Wan, like you said. Yeah, him continuously losing his lightsaber, jumping out. It was a little weird, and I didn't like it as much. But another thing going back to the romance is the problem with that is a big problem in this movie is the waste of screen time and time management. And a lot of the romance could have been spent putting towards the actual Clone Wars, the actual fighting, the
Yeah.
actual
Obi-Wan.
what we wanted to
I
see.
liked Obi-Wan's part in this movie.
I think it's part in every movie. I mean,
Well, Phantom Menace is a little rough. but whatever.
Possibly, but I mean, I do think that was the big problem that hit home for me with this movie is if they had I'm saying 20 minutes, not more, but 20 minutes and substitute for other scenes that were useless. 20 minutes of the actual clone battle, it'd be awesome. Like on other planets, not just, I mean, they also have Clone Wars TV show. Like if you add the Clone Wars TV show, I mean, you can't really add that on to Attack of the Clones, but if you do, it makes it the Clone Wars.
I
so
have
much
it
better.
written down here. It says the movie is called Attack of the Clones. Okay, clones don't attack until the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem, and I think, like I said, it's the Clone Wars, and we want to see clones, but we really don't get it. And some of the scenes we even do get involving the clones weren't as great. Like Count Dooku, he was underused and not
the
done
lightsaber fights were underwhelming, especially when you stack them up against how good
Yoda.
the Phantom Menace was.
Yeah, Yoda was the lightsaber fight in the Phantom Menace.
We
was
did
phenomenal.
finally get to see Yoda
battle.
lightsaber.
Yeah, that is cool.
Anakin.
I feel like every fight Yoda's in, though, they underuse him. I mean, think about Palpatine. Like, we'll go back to Revenge of the Sith. Palpatine, Yoda throwing the Senate at each other. It's not exactly what we wanted to see either. And I think it's kind of... I think Anakin losing to Count Dooku really exploits his immaturity.
Yeah.
So that is kind of good, I guess. There was good development in his character.
And the Droid Factory. That is such filler.
Yeah, that was just
filler.
literally adding on screen time, and it was unnecessary. Kind of cringy to see a couple running through lava factory. That's less. I mean, it's Clone
Not
Wars.
memorable. Like
No, it's really not. And I did like eventually seeing the clones, and Jango Fett and Boba was good.
the battle arena. I know people say that the CGI was not good and it wasn't the best, but I loved it.
I actually think it was. Actually, I didn't mind the
love that
CGI.
scene.
I think the battle was decent, and it was great to see. It was not great to see Jedi die, but it was great to see that Jedi can be.
Because, like, we're so used to, as fans, to being... the most powerful Jedi are spotlighted. And we
Yes.
don't realize these Jedi can die from Jango Fett's
We
blaster.
did get
like
to see a
Colin
lot of
Trevor.
we did get to see a lot of new Jedi, which is good, and we get to see Boba looking for that redemption.
Yeah.
And Hayden's acting on Tatooine was actually good when his mother died.
Yes.
The emotion he displayed there,
I
hate them.
love it.
I killed them all. That was actually really good.
I
and,
love
and I
that.
appreciate that.
I love how they put Qui-Gon's voice in, saying, "No, Anakin, don't."
That was executed well, and I do give him credit that because Hayden Christensen gets a lot of hate for being a bad actor, but a lot of the time it's not his fault.
But it's really when he's with Padme.
That's his worst acting is when he was. I mean, he has some bad moments with Obi-Wan, but most of the time his bad acting is because of the romantic scenes he has with
And
Padme
the dialogue.
and the dialogue, and it's not
Very
his
bad.
fault.
Because in my opinion, I think he's great in Revenge of the Sith.
Oh yeah, he's great.
I
in Revenge
love
of the Sith.
that's probably my favorite character is Revenge of the Sith Anakin. It's great.
And so we'll go on.
I like Kamino.
That's my 9. My 9 is Attack of the Clones.
Yes, I like Kamino as well. I think that's
I
very
don't know if I
cool
mentioned
concept.
that, but both of our 9s are Attack of the Clones.
Yes.
Both our 10s are Phantom Menace. Kamino was a really cool planet. It was great to see the Kaminoans, Lama Su. It was just really cool.
Harmony.
And like I mentioned earlier, Jango and Boba are always really cool.
Yeah.
So what's your 8?
I have, and this sounds so much like I'm putting it down, but Solo.
Same. I mean, I actually
Solo Star Wars
have
story.
Solo at 8, and I love Solo. It was a great movie.
It's so much fun.
And it's really good, and it was executed well. But Solo is one of those movies, like, I think it really sets apart from The Phantom Menace, because it's not ranked down low because I just didn't think it was great. I think Solo is ranked where it's at because I just felt like there were 7 movies that contributed to the Star Wars universe better, and that were, in some ways, better.
But
There's
what
better
I
movies.
love is that it was a movie made for fans like us. Because when Lando referenced Aura Singh's death,
Yes.
that's things that only die-hard fans are going to get. And Lando mentions the Lando Calrissian Chronicles and the Mine Harp of Saru, which is the title of one of the oldest Legends books. And it's such a great movie considering they went through 37 directors.
Oh yeah, it was definitely good, and I think the expectations and obviously the hate that was going on obviously gave it such low expectations, and it turned out to be phenomenal.
Yeah.
I would say phenomenal. I think that's the proper word.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons the reason it's 8 is because it is an anthology movie, and it just didn't contribute to the Star Wars universe as heavily as other movies. Like, I mean, it's not going to contribute to the Star Wars universe as well as Revenge of the Sith or the sequels, because it's not a trilogy. It's not part of a saga. It is just its own standalone that's made for entertainment and to contribute a little bit of information. It's not made to contribute the entire storyline and carry it along. So obviously, it's not going to be as just awesome. But I gotta give Alden Ehrenreich some credit here,
and Donald Glover.
but both. I mean, really, and they're great actors, and they portray their characters well. And I think Alden Ehrenreich gets some backlash sometimes.
But I still find it hard to convince myself. Like, Alden Ehrenreich is a great Star Wars character. Donald Glover is a great Star Wars character, but not as Han Solo and Lando Calrissian.
I mean, actors, not characters.
No, they're great. They're great characters.
Yeah. I was confused.
But they're not Han and Lando.
Well, yeah, and I think one of the reasons that they get that. Okay, here's one thing I do have to rebuttal that is. You got to think, it's not the same Han. As you see in the original trilogy, it is the softer, it's a different Han, so he can't play the same as Harrison Ford.
Before he was hardened and...
But he does still exhibit some of the same qualities that old Han does because, well, it's still Han.
Yeah.
And his cockiness and confidence, Alden's really good at that, and some people were complaining about how he didn't look like Han. I think he did decent. I mean, you can't change his look. He can't get plastic surgery like Harrison Ford. I mean, I think he did good at it.
I think they pretty much nailed it with the looks.
Donald Glover, especially. I think he looks like
Donald Glover does look like
And Kira was okay.
Kira's pretty good.
The only reason I had a problem with Kira is because she took the spotlight away from Han, Chewie, and Lando. A lot of the reasons we want to see this movie, I think Han got lots of spotlight. Donald...
Obviously, because of movies called Solo.
Donald did get... And I was just going to say Lando. Lando got a decent amount of time. Chewie, I feel like Chewie did not get enough time as he should.
But I did like finding his origin story of how they met and became friends.
That was one of the best things in the movie. Is the way they came together and formed that team. That was executed really well.
It was a little goofy hearing Alden Ehrenreich speaking whatever the Wookiee language is.
Yeah, I think it was done well. But I do wish, and some of the tension due to Tobias and other things in the movie.
I like Tobias Beckett. Woody Harrelson does great.
I like Tobias, but the only problem with him and those minor characters, I would say, maybe major characters, they did take the spotlight away from the big three, which was kind of a little hard. But I mean, it was great regardless.
The casting is so good.
And the Falcon's even better though.
The Falcon is
really good. I mean, that was good. Kessel Run was one of the best scenes in the movie. I think it might have been, and the events leading up to the Kessel Run for sure.
But going off of that. We kind of knew what was going to happen in this movie. Yes. We knew we were going to see Lando. We knew we were going to see Sabacc. We knew we were going to see him meeting Chewie. We knew we were going to see the Maw. We knew we were going to see the Kessel Run. We knew Lando was going to have a droid companion. It was very predictable, but at the same time, it was so good.
It was so good for considering how much we knew, but there were those plot twists and those thrillers in it. I like how Solo got his name. Some people don't like that, but I actually think it was...
I'm not a huge fan of that.
I mean, yes, it doesn't have a lot. It's not like, wow. It's pretty simple, but I think it's good. I don't need to make a big production out of it. I think it's decent. I like how Enfys Nest was portrayed as the villain, but it wasn't a villain.
I thought the entire time that Enfys Nest was going to be the villain.
Yes.
I didn't have the slightest thought that Enfys Nest was going to be...
I didn't even think about Dryden Voss.
Rebels. I had suspicions about Dryden Voss, but I didn't think, he's going to be the main villain. And not to be sexist or anything,
but Enfys Nest being that young girl, like, I'm not even talking about young, like, 20, I'm talking about, like, the young, almost childlike.
Not in, like, she takes off that mask and you're expecting this hardened, grown man.
Yeah, and that was cool. That was really cool. I really appreciate the way they did Enfys Nest. Just because, and then Weasel was a small little.
That Weasel was cool.
I just like Enfys Nest and her gang because it was just cool.
We saw one of Saw Gerrera's partisans as well,
and it was cool. It was cool to see that hardened part of the not this soft rebellion, but you saw this really menacing. And I think the costumes were done good. Yes. The settings were done. It was all. I mean,
I love how Lando has a whole closet devoted to camps.
It's pretty funny, and I feel like Hans and Kira's little scene together was heavily reminding me of Leia and Han.
It was
like an exact copy, and that was really cool. I mean, because it's not hating off the original trilogy, but making those references to the original trilogy, it's almost better. And L3 was funny.
L3 was
L3 was bad if you looked at it from that point of view, but for me, I looked at it, and I think it's kind of sort of been confirmed, but that satire towards Kathleen Kennedy and that satire, the mocking, it's funny. And I mean, yes, it did get kind of redundant, but the first few jokes, the equal rights joke, I actually laughed. I was dying in my seat. It was good. I did Maul's appearance. I can't. It was great at the beginning.
So forced though. Like you can make a Star Wars movie without having him to ignite a lightsaber. I thought for the entire time this is going to be the first time that we see a Star Wars movie that doesn't have a lightsaber in it, and then he pulls it in, and it feels very forced.
I mean, it might have been a little forced, but it was honestly great because I do think
it was. You should have. We went with what was it? It was 5 of us. You should have seen our faces when Maul appeared.
The initial shock factor made it worth it. And another thing is the lead up. Now, Kira is working for the Shadow Collective. Well, probably,
Crimson Dawn.
Crimson Dawn. She's working as a leader of Crimson Dawn, but she's probably within the Shadow Collective. But that's cool, though, because there's so many possibilities there. Probably not. There's not going to be a Solo 2, I don't think. There's not, but there could be another anthology movie. I've heard, if you get a Maul movie later on, that will be in it. If you get like a Boba Fett movie, that could somehow be in it. Even if you get another character, that could somehow incorporate Kira in it, or a novel. I mean, I heard novels. I mean, there would be if you get a good Star Wars writer. I mean, you put anything to Claudia Gray's name, and it's going to be good.
Yeah.
I just finished Lost Stars, and I swear, I mean, that is one of the best books. I mean, it doesn't even matter if it's Star Wars. It's just so great. And I could talk about that for days. But
I think we need to move on.
I think we do need to move on.
7. Oh, this is so controversial for me. I'll let you go first.
No, I will say something about Solo real quick. The reason it was so, it was like a family fun atmosphere, whereas Rogue One is that dark, emotional side of Disney. And I really like the dark, like emotional side really connected, and it really hit harder to home than Solo, and I feel like that's one reason why Rogue One is above Solo. And that leads me into number 7, which is not Rogue One. I thought it was for a second. No, it's not. Number 7 is The Last Jedi. Now, I mean, hear me out.
My number 7 is Return of the Jedi.
Okay, so the reason I think Last Jedi should be number 7 is it could be number 5 on my list. And I think Episode 9 is going to have a heavy impact on The Last Jedi. I'll go ahead and say this. I was going to say this towards the end, but I'll go ahead and say it now. Episode 9 may hold some really cool secrets. And I think Snoke's not dead. Okay, I'm going to go and say I don't think Snoke's dead, and who knows? He could be working with Kylo Ren. He could be working against Kylo Ren. We don't know. But I think 9 can do something really cool. I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going to have hope in Disney from now on. Snoke, that's really unheard of in the Star Wars community. But
yeah, for real.
Snoke's not dead. Leia could do something cool instead of being Mary Poppins again, and Raya could have a cool, Raya. Oh, I don't know.
Uh-oh, did we just start a new ship?
No, hopefully not. I mean, Falcon can be a little small with that many people, but
yeah,
I don't think that.
Not much privacy.
I think Rey definitely could have an interesting future, like a really cool future, and I think her parents may not be her.
I like her parents to be. I like that it's nobody. I like that.
I'm saying it may not be that, and for better or worse,
I really don't.
I mean, so anyway, the opening scene was not bad to The Last Jedi. Bad comedy is already obvious. I think The Force Awakens did a great job of the comedy. Last Jedi, not so much. Yes. Poe is a bad guy now. Why? I mean, I guess it's kind of cool to show
screen time. It's the screen time.
I like Poe as a hero, and I think by the end of the movie, he had become a hero again, so it was fine. Vice Admiral Holdo should have been more straightforward with the plan of what she was going to do, but that wouldn't have made it. I mean, they kind of had to do that. They couldn't make it all simple. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do, and it's going to happen. They had to make it like that. And Mary Poppins, that's not cool, but, whatever. I think if they were going to make her use the Force, it should have been something else, not that. Luke's character never hit a peak. The grumpy old man was fine for a little while. That was okay, because I understand it. He's been a hermit for years, but he didn't come out of his little shell and become the real Luke until the last 20 minutes. Admiral Akbar is dead without any major...
Barely a mention.
Yeah, not even a death. Rey is now becoming a Jedi, which is... I don't know how I feel about that yet. Rose wasn't the best, but fans give her way too much hate. Rose, come on. I know she's not the best, but
she's not good. She's not good.
Not really good, but it's not the actor's fault for one. That's unacceptable. I love the look and the idea of Canto Bight, but there was way too much time spent there, and there could have been more time on, better things. Captain Phasma was okay. I mean, I like
same old.
same old. It didn't really do much with her, which is sad. I mean, I liked Finn becoming this devoted to the rebellion, want to save the rebellion.
In one movie, he goes from almost abandoning not abandoning the rebellion, but leaving them.
Just becoming a running man, as Maz said, to save him and Rey. And I like the
Yes.
fact that he got to actually become part of the rebellion. Throne room scene is probably one of the best scenes in the movie. Besides
Ron
Battle
scene was
Creek.
one of the best scenes.
And Kylo Ren is awesome again.
I love Kylo Ren. Still
and
great.
I don't think they should redeem him. I do think he should still remain as dark side, but who knows what 9 will hold for us. Yeah, I wish Finn had been a hero, but I think he will do that in 9, and that'll be all good. So that's pretty much all I have.
I have as my number
For episode
7, Return of the Jedi.
Or episode 8.
And that's not because I don't like Return of the Jedi. I love Return of the Jedi, but there's just so many good movies that are ahead of it. Like, I love Jabba's Palace. Very cool. It's much like the cantina that we see in A New Hope. It's very diverse. We get to see so many different species. Jabba, we get this space gangster, pretty much. And that's cool.
Pretty much.
And Lando's back, and now he's a good guy. We know. Now we know. Luke, when he shows up to Jabba's palace, he gets straight to the point. You are going to, either you're going to follow what I say, or you're going to die. He gets straight to that. And the skiff, the battle, that
Cell barge?
yes, Cell Barge. I love that. The lightsaber fight at the end, that's very, very good.
Yeah.
Force lightning, that is cool. That is
Yeah,
a
that's
cool
pretty cool.
concept. First thing to see that. Ewoks are David, the Stormtroopers are Goliath, and see how that ends. And this is something that we take for granted. That's the first time we've ever seen a lightsaber green. I have every single.
I never thought about those minor
We're
details.
recording in my room where I have each of the movie posters. If you look over at Return of the Jedi right now, what color is Luke's lightsaber?
Blue.
Blue. So fans thought, he's got a blue lightsaber, it's new, let's see this. He ignites it and it's green. Imagine being in a theater
Yeah, it's
and
true.
not knowing.
And I think my episode, my number 6 on the list.
I literally just said everything positive and it's still 7. That's how you know.
My episode 6 is Return of the Jedi as well.
I
and
have The Last Jedi, so we switched.
I pretty much agree with this one. Jabba's palace is nice. Han's rescue was executed well. I mean, I hate to see Boba and Jabba. I mean, not Jabba. I hate to see Boba go but I do think he will be brought back. His legends. Legend is gonna happen.
There's, I would say, a 90% chance in canon that he.
You can't make a movie about Boba with. I mean, you could, but it wouldn't be as good.
It would be a.
He needs to be with the Empire when you make the movie.
Yes.
And Cell Barge scene, it seemed to be a little long, but you gotta think a lot went down. I mean, everyone almost died, and Jabba
Yes.
and Boba met their ends. One of them for sure, the other one not quite. Yoda's death is sad, but it's necessary and understandable because Luke
Yes.
becomes more independent, and it really grows him as a character.
That scene is so strong.
It really is.
You seeing Yoda, this tiny green frog that's all we know about him pretty much. He's dead now. I can imagine how much of a fan favorite he was.
It's great to see the Death Star again. I think it was kind of a plot twist, even though we'd seen it before. Just because, after the first Death Star's fate, you bring back another Death Star. It's crazy. Considering it's how mirror image it seemed to be. Even though you just lost so much because of the first Death Star, and you're just gonna do it again. Endor's a great planet, and there's Ewoks. Everyone loves Ewoks. That was amazing. It's great to see them fighting. It's not just rebels, it's just stormtroopers,
Yes.
human. It's great to see the Ewoks involved, and it's kind of interesting.
Fuzzy teddy bears.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Space teddy bears.
And Space Battle's awesome. It does a great job.
It's so good. I mean, one thing I love is that we see the Millennium Falcon, we see the Mon Calamari cruisers, we see X-wings.
But see, it does a great job of
Y-wings, B-wings, A-wings.
It does a great job of not copying Episode 4. They didn't do the same exact thing. Oh, Death Star.
Yes.
It was great to see that.
Death Star.
Lightsaber battle sets it apart because it's at that time you didn't have too many great lightsaber battles.
Yes.
The Obi-Wan and
The
Vader
Emperor
battle the Obi-Wan and Vader battle was a little bit
Two 70-year-old men
Yeah, it was not
poking
exactly
at each other.
great. Luke later not only becomes redeemed, but saves Luke and kills the Emperor, and that was a huge plot twist
Yes.
and major development. Obviously, Leia learns that she kissed her brother, and that's always fun to know that. If you're
And
Leia,
another thing, like with the original trilogy, it's like Darth Vader just kind of seems like he's in A New Hope. We see that Tarkin's kind of above him.
yeah,
In Empire Strikes Back, we figure out the Emperor is
above everyone,
above everybody.
and to see him defy that.
Yes, and to see that Darth Vader is like, because you kind of know during the entire trilogy that it's like, we know Darth Vader is not the real villain. We know there's a bigger villain
Yeah.
that's gonna be menacing, and the Emperor fulfills that so well. We need to
Okay,
get
I'm
going.
gonna go on the cons, and I think the celebration was a little cliche, but I mean,
Yeah.
you have to have a celebration. Come on, Force Ghosts make up for it.
Yes, Force
Boba needs to return to screen, but that's gonna happen, I think. And that's about it. Not a lot of cons for it. It was just, I mean, it was not as action packed.
How do you crash an A-wing into the bridge of a Superstar Destroyer and it takes down the entire thing?
Take down the bridge, I guess. I mean,
You take down the bridge, but
Yeah, it
it
should
still
take down-
shouldn't take down the entire ship.
I mean, I do think there wasn't as much action like the Battle of Hoth,
yeah.
but it was. I mean, it was the ending of this. It was a good wrap up.
Endor is kind of slow, but it's really good, though.
It was a good wrap up to the
It is.
original trilogy, and it was necessary, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Can't
Okay.
leave it unfinished.
I had The Last Jedi, and I just pretty much said what you did. Humor didn't really get me until the end when Poe tries to step on the gas on those old
Some of
speeders.
it was good.
That's funny.
Yeah.
And I love Kylo Ren. Rose is not so good. Holdo's not that good. Snoke is very good. Canto Bite, no. Force Broom Boy. I feel like that's just kind of to get something going with Ryan Johnson's trilogy. I like
Possibly.
DJ. DJ is cool.
Or we could see the kid in 9. with
Yeah.
him. I mean, maybe not. If he's a youngling or something.
I love DJ's stance at all this. He's like, whatever makes me money, I'm going for it. Good, he says, good and bads are just words. Like the
that's
good side and the bad side, the good guys or the bad guys, it's just words.
That's why I like Canto Bite so much, is because it's so necessary to provide this view of all these rich people, but they really aren't bad and they aren't good. They're just supplying the fuel for
Yes.
both sides of the war, and that opened the eyes to Finn, and that's one of the leading things that made him commit to the. I mean, because
Yeah.
that's one of the leading things that made him commit to the resistance. I think I said rebellion earlier. I did not.
Yeah.
I don't think I meant that. But anyway, Canto Bite was necessary.
Crate, I like Crate. Crate's very good.
Yeah, we don't give it enough credit. It's a cool planet, and the ice foxes, those things are cool.
I think they're called
Starts with a V.
Voltex.
Volt.
It may be the Pokemon. There's a Pokemon, that sounds exactly like it.
Vulpix is a Pokemon.
Well, it's something. I don't know.
Valkyrie.
Valkyrie.
Gosh, we're
Thor.
nerds. So,
Okay, number 5.
my number 5 is, oh my gosh, what do you have? Oh my, no, you can't do this.
I have Revenge.
That's not possible.
Of
It's one of the best
Sith.
3. That's not possible.
In your opinion,
But your opinion's wrong on this one. You can't
Your-
put Ewan
your
McGregor.
opinion's
You can't
wrong.
put Ewan McGregor at number 5. My number
Okay.
5 is actually Rogue One, which is
that one offends me. We'll get into that in a minute. Okay, I'll go first. So, the battle course, I love it. The dialogue is very good between Obi-Wan and Anakin, especially at the end. That's such a powerful scene. I loved you, Anakin. You were my brother. I mean, the battle droids, they're not too good. General Grievous.
where
is
have they
not
ever
good.
been great though?
Count Dooku is pretty good. I mean, the Emperor, I really like the Emperor. Obi-Wan's fight on Utapau, I don't really like that, because it's kind of one-sided the entire time.
I kind of like Utapau though because I mean it's kind of a cool planet. I mean,
Yeah.
I hate to just give credit for that, but and then you got to think though the prequels are kind of notorious now. Obviously, this wasn't their intentions, but they're notorious for being meme worthy.
Yes,
And
and there are some great memes.
Revenge of the Sith gave us so much potential for the meme community, and I think that's necessary always.
Okay, let's see. Palpatine and Mace Windu. I love it, because you really get to see just how powerful Mace Windu and his Vapod is.
And
His
you see
lightsaber
this
combat.
like 70-year-old man screaming "It's treason!" then, and doing like a full 1,000-degree multi-twist spin move on everybody and destroying all the Jedi.
Yes. Then he quickly slays
And you can't.
Jedi.
The Order 66,
Order 66. That is one of the best,
emotional.
that is so crazy, because you get to see Mundi, who just gave us one of the best memes of all time.
Coyote
We
Mundy's
see
death was really sad.
Daddy
honestly.
Plo. We see Daddy Plo die on a very cool planet, by the way.
And then Ayla Secura just
full autoing
not
her
getting killed, getting
full autoed.
dang.
That's brutal.
You see like the clones having this dark side almost.
And honestly, I think the most emotional scene in the entire saga is the end. Is the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Obviously, it's the most in the entire. I think it's the
Padme's-
most emotional out of
okay.
all the movies.
I used to really like Padme when I first watched the movies. I was like, you know, it's a cool character.
We all did.
I looked
Trust
past-
me, we all did.
I looked past the
The fact that she's Natalie Portman.
acting,
Yeah.
and
Okay, my bad.
well, when I watched it late at night, and I remember ending
That's
it,
never good.
and I was so mad that she died because like I knew there's not going to be a way that she's going to be in the original trilogy, but I was like, why do they have to kill her? Like I was so mad that night when I went to sleep.
Yeah. I mean,
Get into
speaking of emotional though, I'm gonna go to
Get into
Rogue.
Rogue
I'm gonna go to
One.
Rogue One. Rogue One is amazing, and I think Disney needs to do this with 9. You need a Rogue One. I'm not saying a Rogue One ending where everyone dies, but I'm definitely saying you need this dark, powerful, First Order breaking down planets, destroying families, heartbreaking. I don't know if you can make a bunch of Star Wars fans cry in a theater. Oh my gosh, Disney! I'll do whatever.
If you can get me to cry in a theater,
I will be so happy.
Such a success.
Rogue One, it was so emotional and so dark, and we need that in 9. That'll really bring this together. But I do say Rogue One has the best effects, graphics, cinematography,
I think
action out of all the films.
The Battle of Scarif is
The Star Destroyers
so-
looming.
the Star Destroyers when they crash into each other. That looks, and when the Death Star comes out of the shadows.
Oh yeah,
It's
it's just so good. It's just like
So good.
wow. I mean, it's like just this beautiful, and it provides a lot of great info, a lot of depth. It's very informative considering it's just another anthology movie. It seemed to like
Yeah.
tie everything together, and it did what an anthology film is supposed to do and more. It's great characters, even though it's kind of a
Yeah.
unfortunate end. Destruction of Jeddah City and capture of Galen Erso really shows the Empire's
That-
ruthless and cruel reign.
People say that that's slow, but I really like it.
It's a little slow,
I really
but it's
like it.
it's really cool to see the Empire and
how much they've taken over this
yeah,
city.
and how bad they are. Just and you need that.
Which you're gonna once you read Thrawn, you're gonna start siding with the
Oh yeah,
Empire.
I haven't read. He read Thrawn recently, and I haven't read it yet. I'm about to actually.
I'm about to read Lost Stars, so
So we're just
we
gonna
will have
switch.
reviews on those soon.
I love the theme, hope when it's hopeless, and I think that's the key thing is we need Star Wars to become honestly 9 needs to be hopeless. You need this hopeless.
Rebellion's a bit built on hope.
Pretty much.
That's
Vader's awesome always. K2SO is amazing.
K2 is actually funny
because
I love
he's a
K2.
droid with a personality, a witty personality, and C-3PO.
There's a problem on the horizon. There's no horizon.
Yeah, that's
That's good.
I like his personality. I mean, if droids had that minus L3, her she needs to and get that removed.
And one thing at the end of Rogue One is that when the shield gate closes and everybody on Scarif knows, hey, we're dead, we're trapped, we're not gonna make it, but we're gonna keep fighting and we're gonna save the rebellion.
I like
They don't miss a beat.
Just finishing Lost Stars, the Empire describes the rebels as a bunch of terrorists, and that is hits home for me now.
Are you a terrorist? Is that why it hits home?
No, blows up home. Actually, what I'm saying is, Saw Gerrera and his partisans are terrorists, whether you like it or not. They're the rebellion, but they're the bad side of the rebellion in a way.
Yeah.
They're a little too far, and then they're extremists.
They're extremists, yeah.
And that is a terrorist. The rebellion can have a bad side when you think about it.
But Saw Gerrera, I love
He's
that
cool.
they took him from the Clone Wars to Rebels TV show to the movie.
Yeah.
Like, that is so awesome. Which gives us hope for, say, Ahsoka.
I do say one of the cons was the score may not have been as good as the other movies.
The score was not as
It was great
memorable.
though. It was great.
It was, as always, you know.
But it wasn't as good as it
Yes.
could have been. Considering the great pictures and the great scenery they had to work with,
Yes.
you could have made some really good stuff.
Another thing, Krennic. I love Krennic.
Krennic's cool.
I love Krennic.
They stand here amidst my achievement, not yours.
Yes. By sacrificing their few lives on Scarif, they save so many.
You're doing. What's going on to 4? Yours is.
I have Rogue One as 4.
Okay.
But one thing that I don't like about Rogue One is Tarkin and Leia. The uncanny valley, you know? They're so realistic, but we know they're not realistic, so our mind doesn't like it.
Yeah, Tarkin already looks dead as an Tarkin.
Yeah,
Okay, let's
he
be honest.
already looks-
In the original trilogy, he already looks dead. No offense to who plays Tarkin.
Peter Cushing.
Yeah, no offense, to Peter Cushing, but bro, you don't look too healthy in the original trilogy, and you look so much worse in Rogue One. You look like a walking zombie.
In Thrawn, they describe him as gaunt, and that's a perfect word.
I would
for
say
it.
dead's the best word to describe him. Episode 4. Not episode 4.
Number 4.
I'm saying number 4. Episode 4 is not number 4. Episode 7, Force Awakens, is number 4. Which I'm saying it's great. It's honestly great, but I just feel like the original trilogy, the best 2 movies, Empire Strikes Back, hoping, are gonna obviously be on top. So much new material. That's the key thing for the Force Awakens, is it's the opening to the sequels. And it was so impactful. Whereas with the Phantom Menace, it was an awful intro to the prequels. Yeah. I mean, sequels so far, I would say,
I like that start.
I like the start. You just need a good finish like Revenge of the Sith, and
Yes.
it'll be fine. Rey's transition is huge, like from being a nobody to becoming a lightsaber welder. That's awesome.
Welder.
I don't know what I'm saying. Give me a break.
Whatever.
Kylo Ren is
Close
awesome. I love the possible deserter hero.
Yeah.
I like Finn becoming this. Well, we never got to see him being part of the Resistance, because you could tell he wasn't really for the Resistance.
He wasn't a fan of the Resistance. He was a fan of Rey.
Yeah, and he still is. Hopefully, I'd rather see that than Reylo. I will say that.
I don't know about that.
I don't want to see either one.
But what if Rey? It'd be so funny for all these Reylo fans if they ended up being brother and sister. Like,
Luke and Leia did it. Give him some slack. So Poe gives off the cocky vibes I think Han did in 4, and I like that. That's cool because they both have that. It's something about being cocky. Like it's never sometimes
as a pilot,
cockiness can be bad, but sometimes it's just considered good. And in this case, it is. Leia's great. It's great after all those prequels.
I love Leia.
After all those prequels, to get to see her again.
Han.
Get to say this from Natalie Portman. I'm kidding. Natalie Portman's great, but Leia's better.
Han, because you can tell. Harrison Ford, he's kind of to the end of his career, he's slowing down. But you can really
his acting's
feel
on point.
You can really feel that it's Han Solo. He is so great. There's deleted scenes where he starts kind of mocking stormtroopers.
Yeah.
Where he goes, "Smoke? Who's Smoke?"
Yeah, I mean, the deleted scenes with the blast when they're getting arrested was pretty cool. I don't know if you've seen those, but if you haven't seen the deleted scenes in Force Awakens, definitely check them out. Takodana is a great planet.
I like Maz.
Takodana. Yeah.
I like Maz.
Takodana is a great planet. Maz is really cool.
Maz's a cool character that can be explored more in the future.
I like how Takodana is low key the cantina.
Plus, she's the oldest character we know of in Star Wars.
It's true. Her palace gives also those cantina vibes, and I like it.
But it's not like a ripoff.
It's not a ripoff. No, it's this new environment, but it's so cool.
And one thing in Battlefront 2, during the story, I believe it's the story mode, you go into...
you do.
You go into Takodana, into Maz's castle. You can walk around, and literally, if you get close enough to characters, you can hear their conversations.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so
That's
cool.
one of my favorite parts. I mean, not my favorite part of Battlefront 2 campaign, but it's one of the greater parts of it. Yeah. Hux is a great fit for his position. Hux is just is good. I would say he's better than Grand Moff Tarkin.
I would say
it's hard to say, but so far I think he is. And
that Ginger Hitler scene is so
Ginger
powerful.
Hitler, yeah. I like it. And so Han's entrance in the film is so Han. Han's death is really sad.
Chewie.
But it's a great emotional twist, and it's necessary because you can't kill all the characters off at the same time. It worked in Rogue One, but
you could not have written it better. Chewie, we're home. That is so good. I mean,
the script was. I gotta get the sequels so far. Script writing.
Are we on number 4?
Yes, we're gonna. We will get through this.
We need to move on.
I would say Luke. We see Luke. No, I said Luke. We don't. No, we don't. We do see Luke, but we don't really see Luke. So that was kind of sad. But it promised you that we would see Luke in the next movie. That was key. Kylo Ren can't be dead, can he? We knew he wasn't dead. That was really crucial. There's potential for the next movie. We thought, sort of.
Yeah.
Here's some negatives. It's very similar to A New Hope.
It's a mirror image,
which is kind of sad, but it had its own twist, which did.
And another thing, just to butt in, Force Awakens Snoke theories. Name something that's been
got out of hand.
More explored and more adored by fans in Star Wars than Snoke theories.
So BB-8.
I like
BB-8 is literally the
I like
R2D2 containing the info,
But
containing
it's
the
still
message
good.
to Obi-Wan. Yeah, but it's just too much of a
It's
copy.
still a copy mirror image.
I didn't like Luke not being in the movie, but I mean that
Yeah.
had to happen because that was the plot. I mean, anyway, we'll move on.
And
I'm sorry if you can hear me
Kylo's-
sniffling, but I'm got really bad sinus, and it's probably
Kylo's
sounds
crossguard lightsaber is
That is cool.
That's so awesome with the cracked crystal. It's great.
I like some
Okay.
of the ways they did their new thing. It's the sequels. They did their new thing and
Added
went away from the original trilogy, and that's necessary.
Added
So
so many different species.
they had to let the past die, and they
They
did,
did.
and that was good.
Okay, let's get on to number 3. I, in a controversial pick, have A New Hope.
Oof. I mean, it's not
And,
bad. That's not bad. I
like-
mean, that's not.
But I still love A New Hope. The opening scene, great. You see this giant ship, and you're like, the Tantive 4. That looks really big. And then you see a Star Destroyer, and it looks great. It's huge. Like, Luke, I would say, I said that Obi-Wan and Anakin's scene was the most emotional. But honestly, now to look at it, now think about it, Luke staring into the twin suns with that score, that is so powerful.
It was, and it was definitely. It's the start off
Yeah.
to Star Wars, and it's just.
And I love the way that George Lucas was like, okay, I don't want R2 to speak basic, so I'm going to have C-3PO to pretty much interpret it.
Yeah.
I don't want Chewie to speak basic, so I'm going to have Han to interpret it. Not necessarily translate it word for word, but make it so that we know what's going on. Pretty
Yeah.
much what he's
And
saying.
I like that it had. I mean, obviously, it was a different time back then, but I like how
Yeah.
in the newer versions they didn't just do subtitles
yeah.
to cover the species. That was
Now there's like subtitles when you need it. Like for Jabba and Greedo, I like those subtitles.
you need those, yeah. But
And
there's no one there to interpret it. For you.
many different species. I love the cantina. Smugglers and pirates, that's kind of like a safe haven. The score is crazy good. Obi-Wan is a very good mentor character. Battle of Yavin is really good. I like Yavin. Go watch our last video.
Tipple is a Tipple and Yavin 4. But it's Legends,
Yes.
but it's
Very good.
what is it? Not Naga Sadao,
Yes.
Sadao, and Exar Kun.
Like, literally the only negatives that I can possibly think of in A New Hope is the special editions.
Which didn't affect
Exactly.
you still have the
Didn't
normal.
affect the story in any way.
So okay,
So
we'll
that's
move
my
on.
number.
We'll move on.
That was my number 3
My number 3 is actually Revenge of the Sith, which is like the meme haven.
of Star
But I
Wars.
care about that a little too much, probably. But that's not what I like. That's not why I like it. Trust me. Anakin's character improves so much, and that is awesome because he's like one of the main characters of the movie. It's great to see him actually being good for once. We get good Clone War action. Good Clone
Hayden
War action.
Christensen is very good. I
He's a
would
good
say.
actor. But they had less.
when given the right
Well, see,
dialogue.
they had less romantic. I wouldn't even. It really, their scenes weren't romantic. They
Well,
were just cringy.
If we would have fast forwarded a few months, and we would have gotten more romantic. But okay, what were you saying?
So okay, Revenge of the Sith. I don't know. You really just distracted me there, but we get the Clone Wars action that we needed.
Yes,
And especially the battle above Coruscant.
that's what Battle Above Coruscant I really like.
That's really cool.
Buzz
Rescue of the
droids.
Chancellor was good.
Yes.
Utapau I think is underrated actually. Just because of the scenery and
Yeah. I can
hello
see
there and Kenobi versus Obi-Wan was actually a pretty good lightsaber battle considering
Mhm.
he's not really what you could consider a force.
that. Kenobi versus Obi-Wan.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that would be a good battle, but I mean Kenobi versus General Grievous because General
Yeah.
Grievous isn't like the generic force user.
And like, but he's so underpowered.
He
Because
is.
like in Legends, he is so powerful in the old Clone Wars TV show, not the one that we know, but
Yes,
their
the
2D,
I know,
2D
I know.
version. He's so powerful, and as well as Clone Wars, the regular Clone Wars TV.
There's a lot of classic Star Wars lines. High ground, hello there, Darth Plagueis. That's crucial,
Darth Plagueis. Woo!
and that opened some doors.
Opened up some major doors, and George knew what he was doing.
Order 66 is depicted with such great, like what Drake said earlier, such a great score and cinematography. Just made it so emotional and just awesome. And then that's coming off of, or not coming, that leading up to the Battle of the Heroes.
Yes.
Which is the most emotional and overall I would say, in my opinion, is the best scene in all of Star Wars. Best lightsaber duel, the script for the first time ever for like most of the Revenge of the Sith. The script is awesome. The script is just lovely, and it's just so like Obi-Wan saying that him himself, he died when Anakin died. You were my brother.
Yeah.
That is just, it's awesome.
And one thing that makes Revenge of the Sith stand out in the prequels is the Phantom Menace has some of the lowest lows and some of the highest highs. Attack of the Clones has some of the highest highs, some of the lowest lows. But Revenge of the Sith
It's a smooth ride.
has the highest highs and not that
It's
many
a smooth.
lows.
It's a pretty smooth. It's pretty smooth.
It's so good.
And it's just, it's got pretty good script. It's got actually more special effects
Yes.
than almost any of the movies, but it never got nominated. I don't think for like I'm drawing
I'm
a
not
blank here.
sure.
I think it never won. It never
Probably
won.
got nominated, but
It never won. I'm losing drawing a blank here. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's got a great ending. It's a redemption. Cons, Anakin and I figured out the problem with Anakin and Padme scenes. It's just so poetic, and they tried to be so sly and make Anakin
So
almost have so
proper.
much game and make it like Padme never left.
Anakin's a baller.
Yeah, that's what they tried to do. And Padme's too much of a senator, and it came off. No one talks like that. Come on. No one talks like that. It's awful. Yoda and Palpatine could have been the better, and Dooku's character is wasted.
Yeah.
Literally, he got wasted.
Dooku.
And then, so that was the problem with that. But we'll move on now to
Number two?
Number 2, which we both agree. Oh no, we don't.
No, we don't. I have The Force Awakens.
I have A New Hope, which I
I think
mean,
we've explained both those pretty well.
I would
so
say
far.
too. You got anything to add on to Force Awakens?
I mean, I like how instead of there being some magical introduction for the Millennium Falcon, it's just that piece of garbage.
Uncarplet.
Let's get that piece of
Is that
garbage.
right?
Let's go
Uncarplet,
get
yeah.
it. You know,
Found
it's
it
our
in the
last
junkyard.
resort. Yeah. And I like Kylo, how he can paralyze Rey with the Force. I love how he can stop the blaster bolt midair with the Force. Kylo's a cool character. And, you know.
One thing, go back to Lost Stars. I'm gonna reference this book for days, but they were talking about
I'll reference Thrawn.
that's what they kept saying was how the Millennium Falcon was a piece of junk. How was this piece of junk taking down the Empire? How is this piece of junk getting away? Why are these, or at least from Ciena's point of view, why are fighters dying needlessly for this piece of junk?
Even my dad literally said when we were watching The Last Jedi for the first time, the Millennium Falcon is having problems. And my dad turns to me and is like, man, Han is really having problems with that thing all the time, isn't he? And I'm like, yep, that's why it's a piece of junk.
So you got anything else to add on Force Awakens, or you think we've pretty much
I think we've
okay.
covered
I'm
them
over on
pretty
A New
well.
Hope, and it's one of the most revolutionary movies of all time. That's the thing about New Hope.
If not the most revolutionary.
It's like, it's not, take it out of Star Wars context, and it's still one of the
It's still crazy.
best movies of all time, just because
if
it's that
you
good.
would have ended the saga right there, it's still
Standalone,
fantastic.
and that's it. Yeah,
Still fantastic.
it's just Star Wars New Hope, no episode. It's great. First glimpse of Vader, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah, in the movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Farm Boy Luke. I like this big dreamer kind of guy. Kind of reminds me of Han and Solo. That's another thing about Solos. This about a big dreamer. You instantly love his character. You got this detail-laden, laden. I don't know what I just said. Detail-laden cantina that demonstrates the immensity of the universe. John Williams. You never can give this dude enough credit. Jabba's interesting. Definitely. You obviously knew I kind of had a feeling he would show up in other movies, and he did. Falcon is done amazing.
What, Jabba?
Yeah.
Jabba got added in with special editions. Which, that scene...
Oh, yeah.
But I don't really like that scene, but it's still decent, but it didn't have to be there.
It's true. Alderaan's destruction threw me for a loop, actually, and
Yes.
and it just gives you that Empire is just so
And
cool.
we don't realize that's one of the richest, most powerful planets, and it's just like
I'll
that.
say it
it's
again.
gone. It's gone.
Lost Stars. One of the characters, Nash Windrider. He was Empire when you become a part of the Empire. They tell you to get to let your home planet die. You got to let your past die. Sort of. You're part of the Empire now. You're not part of your homeworld. And Alderaan was his homeworld. And for about a year in his service, he was depressed and just wasn't. He could barely stand after Alderaan was destroyed. But he still continued to serve the Empire, obviously. But that was just one of the things. You got to think there's people in the Empire that were part of Alderaan at one point, and to see it destroyed like that, obviously, was so
that's the thing about
impactful.
The Empire is in Thrawn. When Thrawn first meets with the Emperor, he's like, the Emperor goes, Mithril Nu Erodo. He acknowledges that he's pledging himself to the Empire, but he says, what if we were to have a conflict with the Chiss ascendancy? Who would he follow? And then, Thrawn just gives a great answer like he always does, and they move on.
Yeah.
But that's the thing with the Empires. They want you to be fully committed.
Oh, yeah. It was,
You're with us or you're against us.
and they only deal in absolutes.
They only deal in absolutes.
And, see, Obi-Wan, his death, it was necessary. And you gotta think, episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what did I just...
Alec Guinness is
Okay,
very good.
I mistyped to put episode 6 as A New Hope. Let me just... Episode 4 is A New Hope, and you see Obi-Wan dying. You thought, oh, he's a long-lasting character, he's a major character. How is he dead in this movie?
Eventually is.
And eventually, obviously, with the prequels, he is, but that was just kind of... would have thrown everyone for a loop to see this old Ben, who was a legend, him dying. It's crazy. Great ending battle, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal, but one negative is, how did Luke not get shot down? I mean, come on. How did Luke, he would have died. I know he's a Force user, but...
There was 2 TIE fighters and Darth Vader. All,
Come on.
like,
He's
and they
in-
had
everyone else got shot.
so long to... And
But it was nail-biting, and
Yes.
I appreciate it. But that
Okay.
is one of the minor...
Okay. Let's move on to the very obvious number one. We could spend,
See,
another
okay,
podcast
guys, I'm
just
gonna
on this
apologize. I'm
movie.
gonna apologize. We spent probably 30 minutes on Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace.
We did.
And
Sorry.
we're only going to spend probably 5 minutes on The Empire Strikes Back. But luckily, most of the time spent on
It's our
Attack of the
first time.
but-
Give us some slack.
Luckily, most of the time spent on the prequels were bashing it. So, well, the first 2 at least. So, I mean, it was sort of well deserved. But
Okay, I'm gonna start with my notes for The Empire Strikes Back as number 1. You have it number 1 as well. Han rescuing Luke shows that how their friendship has evolved from Han is, you know what, I really don't care about you. Where's my reward?
oh
for
yeah,
saving
he's not
the
just this
princess?"
bounty hunter; he's a friend.
Yes,
Which is kind of
And
hard to gain that
Battle
trust.
of Hoth. Oh my god, everything about it is great.
It's way
the
better than-
ground battle.
it's way better.
AT-ATs, snow speeders, they all look great. The Millennium Falcon, when it gets out of Hoth and it's being chased by the Star Destroyers, I love that. Yoda is introduced, and when you see him for the first time, I really, because I knew that was Yoda, but even before I knew Star Wars, so I can't imagine that we see this little new species, and you're like, who is that staring at Luke Skywalker? And it's like, it turns out, oh, that's a great warrior. Like, that's...
Yeah, you didn't think it was going to be such a
Yeah.
powerful being.
And Luke is being very childish.
Yeah,
He's very
he
immature.
is. But that's like
He's like, okay, he gets in the hut, in Yoda's hut, hurry up, take me to Yoda. When can you take me to Yoda? Take me to Yoda, hurry up.
But one thing I like to think is without
know?
Dagobah, Luke wouldn't be the Jedi he is. And that
Yeah.
was crucial. And we see that with Yoda's death, that Luke is, oh my gosh.
Sorry.
I'm actually dying. But Star Wars isn't just physical battles. We see the love, a really weird love triangle between Han, Luke, and Leia. But we see this emotional
I'm
side.
glad it goes to...
We got it ends there.
Yeah.
We get introduced to Lando, who's very suspicious.
I love
And obviously
Lando.
he's suspicious because he double crosses, then joins them again.
Billy
but
D. Williams is so good as Lando.
Too bad he won't last very long.
Yeah. If
Right.
you didn't know, he got he is...
He's casting a 9.
Yes, he is going to be a 9. And
That's Lando. And
you
then
know what that means.
you get the famous line in The Empire Strikes Back, "No, I'm your father." And that's just
Yeah.
so... I mean...
And another thing with Yoda is, you think, there's this tiny green dyslexic frog. Oh. What? He just held up an entire X-Wing.
Oh, yeah, that was... I mean, not knowing much about the Force. Or
Yeah.
We haven't seen Force
We
demonstrated
really didn't
in
know
that
about the
power.
Force, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome.
We just knew it was a...
It's kind of set this bar, really.
Yeah.
And a cliffhanger ending. But we knew that resolution would come in 6, and it set the
Yes.
stage for that perfectly. And I feel like in 6, they executed the ending well, so I mean, that's pretty
Yes.
good. Han getting frozen in carbonite was a good plot twist, which might have looked like the end of him at the time, you know?
Yes.
So it's great to see him back. There's some negatives here. Luke went from the serious fighter pilot on Hoth. He was actually pretty serious and structured on Hoth, ready for battle. But then he went to this kind of immature school kid on Dagobah.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how he went from battle to... I just don't get how he went from that maturity level drop.
And
obviously...
One thing I noticed with Lando last time I watched the movie was Lando is really... He doesn't care. He's looking out for himself and his people of Bespin.
Yes.
Or Cloud City.
He's doing his job.
Because he says, "Attention, Cloud City residents, the Empire is taking over. This is the administrator."
But eventually, by the time of 6, he becomes this
Yes.
crucial key member and friends, and he realizes that obviously his duty's not just for
Yes.
Bespin anymore. And another thing is the Empire's power is clearly demonstrated, but there's so much carelessness within the Empire, not just coming out of hyperspace too soon.
Yes.
But I just don't see how the Empire didn't defeat they
They're
just didn't defeat the rebellion.
kind of like how in A New Hope, when Tarkin says, when one of the officers for the Empire asked Tarkin, "Do you want me to get your, like, I guess I don't know exactly what he says. Do you want me to get your shuttle ready or whatever?" And he's
Yeah.
like, "You are overestimating their chances."
I just don't understand how they didn't defeat the rebellion. Obviously, I'm glad they didn't, but at the same
Yes.
time, I mean, I could see how the rebellion won from that point of view. I can. But at the same time, the Empire. I feel like there were some serious things that they could have done. Obviously,
Luke versus Leia. Luke versus Darth Vader is so good. Vader he's more interested. He doesn't want to take down his son. He is more interested in, you know what, I'm going to turn you to the dark side. He talks way more than he fights.
yeah, and that's cool. That's one of those themes that we kind of overlook.
Yes.
And that wraps it up. I hate that we didn't get to talk about The Empire Strikes Back for longer.
And the bad guys win. The bad guys win.
They
I
do.
love that.
And I feel like 9, I don't know if the bad guys can win, but I feel like in 9, no one should win.
Yeah.
It's at a good stage.
Burn
but
it down to ashes.
I think so. Start from the beginning. I get new galaxy we haven't seen before. Anyway, that's hinting at maybe the next podcast we're going to do. But
Yeah.
the next podcast we may talk about what really Ryan Johnson and his future.
Yes.
And, all the things going on at Disney, from the TV shows to the novels coming out, and what our hopes are. And just remember, this is a little tip. Okay, as a Star Wars fan, we gotta stay optimistic. We gotta stay positive. And honestly, we can't hate everything Disney puts out before they put it out.
Support the Resistance show that's coming out.
Yeah, you can't hate
Support
stuff
Clone
before it comes
Wars.
out. It just doesn't make any sense. We gotta like it before it comes out. You gotta have this good high hopes. And yes, don't have too high hopes. Like, come on, don't these Reylo fans and these
Don't expect
these,
it to
and,
be...
these, and these Mace Windu as Snoke fans get their hopes too high sometimes, and it brings it down. But
Or, Obi-Wan is Rey's granddad. Like,
just keep it reasonable, but at the same time,
have
yes,
fun.
Star Wars has its flaws, but it has its good, and we need to appreciate that.
Well, I think that about wraps it up.
But
If you would like, please check out our Patreon.
our Patreon and our other social media,
Yes,
and then
it'll be in the
in the
description.
description. And so it's been a great first episode, and we'll try to do this more often. But we're going to also, try to get out our other videos, Legends, Canon. We have some other videos coming up ahead. Maybe breakdown of some wars, or focusing more on
book reviews.
book
when we
reviews,
finish.
focusing more on information on planets, characters. It's just a lot of stuff, a lot of ideas.
Yes.
Anyway, I guess
Stay
we'll
tuned
just stay tuned, and we'll see you next podcast.